Welcome to the Broadtek and Promwad podcast series, where we explore the critical elements shaping the future of AV and broadcast technology. In this episode, we dive deep into quality control, that unsung hero of successful product launches. Join us as we discuss how rigorous testing, validation, and continuous improvement can ensure your hardware and software are market ready and made to last.
I'm joined today by Vadim, Head of Broadcast and Streaming at Promwad, and Yuri, Head of Sales, the Sales Director at Promwad. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thanks, guys. I want to start with quality control, because that's such an important part of development and stuff like that. How does Promwad approach quality control?
It's always exciting to deal with the quality. So in Promwad and in my particular unit, we pay a lot of attention to the quality of the device, because even if it is related to broadcasting or Pro AV, it doesn't matter. It should work and should be reliable at all times. So 24/7, and there shouldn't be any issue, because even on the slight issue could ruin the workflow of the customer during the live event.
And I wanted to ask you, Yuri, what happens when we're talking about some of the, especially QCing? A lot of the times I find it's almost like an afterthought, especially when they're dealing with contract manufacturers from the Far East. What stages of QCing that you guys kind of implement at the early stage to ensure that, there aren't so many problems, later on?
Well, basically, one of the first tasks that will end up with the quality control is actually defining the proper scope. So that will be the communication with the product owner, because the product, it evolves at a certain period of times, and customers, they typically want to add different change requests, features, etc. So it's vitally important to make sure that the core functionality is agreed, and then it's put up according to the proper process. And on our side, we think about the quality control at all stages, adding proper automation testing, manual testing, because basically everything is aimed to make sure that the end user, if he or she gets proper video without any interference, etc., as the equipment works as expected 24/7, because the world is very competitive, and right now any issues and problems in video stream will actually distract the end user from consuming the content.
And how do you deal with clients that want to fill it, at the early stage with lots of features? They're really, they want everything in that first kind of edition.
So we're talking to the business, we're defining the scenarios, we prioritize their needs, requirements, and define the particular approach for the hardware and for the software. So the all flows which are going to be used by the customer, they are all automated or they are manually tested. So, but it is impossible to test everything manual. So normally we do automation tests for the devices, not for the hardware components, but for the software and for the firmware. And that is the close collaboration with the customer, with their product owner, with their product team, to define how they would use the device and with what pressure they would use the device. So,
and I want to touch on an important aspect, which is security. So, what do you focus on, any sort of security aspect in terms of QC testing?
We're ISA 9001 certified company, and we're going to get cybersecurity certificates in addition. And all of us understand that the device should pass the specification, and we're discussing with the customer what particular certificates they're going to pass. In this case, we're investigating all of these documents, and we prepare carefully scenarios so to be sure that the device would pass everything in lab. In addition, we have different partners, like laboratories, where we can put the device. It wouldn't be free, it wouldn't be cheap, but for initial testing, it's quite, cost effective, because we wouldn't spend much effort and time and money, but we would get initial testing results, whether we're passing certificates or not.
So is that a type of a road test? You're putting it in a laboratory to see whether or not pre-certification, you're going in there and go, is this going to pass the test? And that's worth its weight in gold, I presume.
We actually, last year, we launched internally a specific service aimed at security testing. So we're offering our customers to proper vulnerability testing for software, for firmware, to make sure that they correspond with the best practices.
Yeah, and for mission critical in broadcast particularly, and I suppose more and more in Pro AV, certainly in mission critical circumstances, that's become a hot point. Security testing and making sure the back doors are are not kind of vulnerable. So tell me about your approach again. Going back to the QCing thing. One area that I think would be really helpful is that a lot of the when you're working with manufacturers, sometimes they don't have enough time. Yeah. They're rushed for time, and they've got to bring out a number of different products all at the same time. In a scenario, let's say they've done a certain amount of work, and they want to be able to offload, let's say, just the QC element of what they're doing. Is that a service that you can provide them?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, that's what we see on a daily basis, because business typically works fast. It needs everything yesterday. So the internal engineering team is always loaded with internal projects, with customer projects, etc. And whatever distracts them from a side means that they should be done, but their team has no capacity. So that's when we can help. And basically, we come to our customer offering our services, and we can pick up like a full project that could be from A to Z, starting with the specs, hardware, software development, QA, and even manufacturing. Or we can take care of only about the part of the services. For example, they've done the hardware and they rapidly need to ramp up the team, adding some software developers, firmware, QA, etc. So we come on board, take the rest of the work that need to be done, estimate that, and in close collaboration, communication, we deliver the results and help them to deliver the product in time. So that's what we do on a daily basis.
And in that scenario, you're essentially a part of the original team, really, an extension of that team.
Yeah, it's quite comfortable. We're establishing the process, we're integrating our engineers into their team, so we do it like how to say, maybe smooth and in a comfortable way. So yeah, we're integrating during the meetings, so we're getting the when we start the project, we are starting the training of the team. So we do not provide that's resources for you. No, we provide mostly knowledge for them. So we're getting the data, we're getting the sources, investigating it, and after that we provide appropriate engineers for that particular project. They are aware about the solution. They have expertise in the past in the similar projects, for example, and that is why they are assigned and involved into the customer's team.
And do you follow standard methodologies, Agile or whatever, so that you could just smoothly fit in? If a company uses Agile methodology, you can just pick the right kind of engineers that will work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We do so. So all of our approximately, let's say around 90% we do in Agile mode. And our project managers, they are Agile certified managers, so they could support the customer to establish the whole process. And especially for the software engineers, it's quite comfortable to work in Agile mode. So having iterations, or let's say sprints, it's normal. So to provide the value and to reach the goal in a particular time. So that's what the customer needs as well. So even if the process from the customer side is not Agile, we propose them to shift to that. And sometimes customers, so they came to us with their process. It can be also Agile.
And one of the things that kind of leaned me towards working with you guys is that I really like the fact that you both do hardware and software. Now, when it comes to QCing, how much of that do you get involved in hardware testing as opposed to, software testing, of course, we've kind of discussed that, but hardware, that part of it is really looking at the layout of the board, looking at the, particular components, and also, it could also be recommendation on what contract manufacturer that you utilize.
So, we put a lot attention to the hardware process. So we have even the specific document how the hardware should be designed, and all the engineers, they follow this document. And the most not crucial, but the most important, that we during the hardware design We do several reviews of the schematic. We do the review of the hardware architecture. We do the review of the PCB design. We do signal and integrity testing. Yeah. And that also, let's say, in an iteration base. So the particular part of the schematic was done, for example, for power, and it goes to the review. The whole schematic after that also. And what we also have, we have a lot of partnership with the chip vendors like NXP, AMD, different kind of Amlogic, Intel, yeah, Lattice, yeah. And we provide the hardware design to the chip vendors to pass their review as well. So they are checking.
Work really closely with the, in terms of, because we've been on conversations with a few,
yeah,
and working really closely, mainly because it's almost like a lot of those chip vendors, but when they're working with the manufacturers, sometimes they ask, could we get additional help? And they'll recommend yourselves, right?
Yeah, because basically they sometimes don't have enough capacity, or for any other reasons they cannot help the manufacturers to develop hardware, software, etc. So they refer to us as their reliable partner to help delivering the device to the manufacturer. So we work in very close collaboration, discussing what components shall we use inside and what's the best way to design, etc.
Brilliant. And so just to kind of close this chapter off about QCing, is there any other addition that sets you apart in terms of your QC process that you want to be able to illustrate?
Just maybe to summarize it, we work in automation process, automation quality, automation testing, and manual. I don't know, so...
Well, I think that the best answer is we follow the best practices, because basically it's very difficult to reinvent the wheel in a well-established process, right? So basically, if you don't want to follow it, you have to invent something better, right? Or you have to do something differently. And from our point of view, it's best to follow the best practices, but at the same time, what we add to this process is we always be transparent and frank with our customers. So if we see that the feature list is not fitting the capacity, we tell about that. If we see that the architecture is not the best can be used there, we tell that, and trying to find a way out in the close collaboration, because making sure that happy customer is the customer who's returning again and again.
Yeah.
So we're trying to build long-lasting partnerships based on open communication process.
Lovely. Thank you.